Hey, what's up guys? It's your girl A.Simone back at it again with another video. So as you saw by the title, we are back again for another week of P Valley. It is Sunday, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay guys, so we are on episode 9. This is week 10, but episode 9 because we skipped a week. So this episode opens up with Andre running a new campaign ad. So remember last week when Autumn made that phone call to her girls? Well, we find out that this was part of Andre's new campaign ad. So he goes and he shoots an ad at the Pink with the dancers. So this whole him reshooting the ad was after that whole situation came out about his father being, in jail for all this time, and he felt like he kind of ruined his chances in the race. So Autumn comes up with the idea to shoot an ad with the dancers. So then we go to them being downtown. I'm guessing they were downtown at like the election poll where people actually, cast their votes for the mayor. And yeah, the girls were outside with him too. They were outside helping with the campaign all together. And he ends up doing an interview with a reporter for the news. And he says, I'm a man of the people. Pretty much saying, I can relate and I can get down no matter, who you are or what cloth, you're cut from. And this was all Autumn's idea, I guess, to try to make him relatable and make him a real person and not just this, person standing up on here making, these fake promises to the people. Because that's what people always say when it comes to, people running for office, that they're just doing all this stuff just to get votes. So next thing we know, we see a big float coming down the street, and we see a stripper pole, and we see somebody, and we find out that it's Miss Patrice. So she sees, like I said, they're downtown. I'm assuming where you vote at. So her pulling up wasn't a surprise since it's downtown. But yeah, we see Miss Patrice on this big float, and she has a stripper pole. And she has on a one-piece jumpsuit, and she's up there twerking and dancing, and she's preaching a little sermon to the people, and she reveals to the people that Corbin and Andre tried to bribe her to make her drop out of the race. So she reveals and tells the people, hey, they try to bribe me, but I ain't going nowhere. And she gets one of those little like money machines. I don't know what they're called, but they like shoot out like the dollars. She put them in there, and she shoots out the money to the people in the crowd. So she takes the bribe money that Corbin has given her, and she shoots the money back out to the crowd like, y'all not gonna bribe me away from this campaign. So yeah, that was funny and hilarious. Miss Patrice up there on that pole. But like I said from last episode, we were curious to see what she was gonna do with the money. Was she gonna actually drop out of the race? Now, if she did, my predictions from last week was that if she did drop out of the race, she was going to be behind the scenes doing something snaky or schemy or slimy anyway, because that's just the type of person she is. So either way it goes, I knew even the way they wrote this, whether she stayed in the race or whether she did drop out, she was going to be behind the scenes doing something shady anyway, because it's just her character. So yeah, so the next thing we have Uncle Clifford and Little Murder getting it on in the kitchen. So he got Uncle Clifford bent over the kitchen table. And guys, I don't know what it is, but remember in last season when they hooked up and Little Murder was doing it from the back? Whenever Uncle Clifford is like from the back, like he do not got that arch together. Now he is a way bigger guy than Little Murder, but still when it comes to throwing it back, like you gotta have that arch. And I feel like every scene where it's him from the back, he do not got that arch together. And I don't know if he's just nervous because he's shooting in front of a bunch of people, but yeah, that arch do not be doing it for me. But yeah, they get a random phone call from like a telemarketer or something, and Uncle Clifford thinks it's the hospital, but it's not. So they end up stopping, doing the do. And Uncle Clifford says that he feels bad that he's getting busy while his grandmother is in the hospital. But in this situation, Little Murder has been there for the past couple weeks or whatever, taking care and sleeping in the house. So it's not like it's a random booty call that's coming over. Little Murder has been there with you, and it's just like, you know, you are human. At, you know, the end of Little Murder and Clifford end up having a conversation, because Little Murder ends up making Clifford breakfast, and they have a conversation, and Little Murder says, I feel like I overstayed my welcome. I'm gonna go out here and go on this tour. And Uncle Clifford is like, yeah, I knew this wasn't gonna last long. And this scene kind of made me feel some kind of way, because in this scene, the energy that I got from Uncle Clifford is that it's always the cup half empty. It's like Uncle Clifford, he does keep it real, but it's almost to the point where it's just like, oh, I know this wasn't gonna last. I know you were gonna up and leave me. It seems like he kind of brings things into fruition, always thinking in his mind that it's not going to work out, if that makes sense. Even though it's like, okay, Uncle Clifford, he keeps it real, but it's just like, you gotta speak things into existence. That's something that, you know, like, you know, you hear when it comes to your life and being positive. Like, you have to speak things and say things out loud. And it seems like with Uncle Clifford, it's always the glass half empty with him. Like in this scene right here, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna be all alone in this big house. This Miss Ernestine, you know, it doesn't seem like she's gonna be here much longer. And yeah, Little Murder, I knew you were gonna up and leave me. It seems like his mentality is always the glass half empty, and it's just kind of like annoying and kind of like disheartening to see. It's just like, you know, why can't you look at things in a positive light? So that scene was very interesting to me. Also in that scene, Little Murder gives him a kiss on the lips. Guys, I ain't gonna hold you. That kiss looks so freaking juicy and good. Y'all, it's, as we get on with the review, it's a lot of other stuff that happens on this episode too, but that kiss looks so juicy. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. Okay, yeah. So the next scene we have, we're back at the Pink, and Keyshawn and Autumn are just chilling out, and she tells Autumn that she got her passports. She paid for it with cash. So when you pay for stuff with cash, you don't have a paper trail. That's like if a husband is cheating on a wife and he pays for the hotel room with a credit card. They're going to be able to trace that by looking at your credit card records. So she said she bought the passports and everything with cash. I think she bought, we see in a preview for the next episode that she's going to get on a bus. So she got some bus tickets. And yeah, and Keyshawn, she starts to like shake and look nervous, and Autumn comes to sits beside her, and she says, hey, you go ahead and you get up out of here. And Keyshawn tells Autumn, we're worried about Uncle Clifford. And Autumn kind of like snaps. She kind of goes, don't you worry about Uncle Clifford, you only worry about yourself. And in that moment, I don't think she was trying to come off like selfish and say F Uncle Clifford. But I think she was just really connected with Keyshawn as far as having a troubled and abusive past. So in that moment, she kind of snapped, but I don't think she meant it in that way. I think she was just really having this one-on-one connection with Keyshawn as far as a woman that's been abused and been in a bad situation herself. She was just telling Keyshawn, please don't worry about any other grown man or woman. Worry about yourself and get up out of here. Like, you can't be worried about the next grown adult and what they got going on. And they have a conversation, and she says, you know, well, what about you? Where are you going to go? What landed you in Chucalissa? And Autumn pretty much tells her, like, Chucalissa isn't my last stop. So, like I said, since we got introduced to Autumn, she's been, like, on the run. Like, we see, like, her whole energy is that she's going, that she got to Chucalissa. Like she's, like on the run for something. She wasn't just chilling and she got to Chucalissa. The very first episode we see her coming to the Pink auditioning like she's hungry, you know, trying to get on her feet from running from whatever city she just came from. So yeah, so Autumn tells Keyshawn, this is not my last stop. This wasn't my game plan to end up in Chucalissa. I'm still gonna keep pushing. This was just, you know, where my path took me, where this journey took me. Okay, so yeah, so next we have the girls practicing. Keyshawn is officially back at the club, and we have the girls practicing. And Mercedes, she was doing good at first, and then once she climbs up on the pole to a certain point, her shoulder is still like weak and messed up. Her shoulder is still weak and messed up. So yeah, so Autumn tells her, well, it doesn't seem like you could be the headliner, especially with us working at 50% capacity. And Roulette actually ends up going in on Mercedes saying, girl, you too old. Me and Whisper, we the new hot stuff, and you really need to just go ahead and sit down. So Mercedes and Roulette get up in each other's face like they ready to like square off. Because Mercedes like, yo, like who the heck you think you're talking to, girl? You only been here a couple weeks. I'm an OG, I run this. Everybody in the city knows how I get down as far as my pole skills. But Roulette was just pretty much telling her like, girl, like your time has passed, meaning you're not in your prime anymore. Just accept the truth. So yeah, so then Keyshawn steps in and she says, you know what? Well, we can split my cut at the door. So Keyshawn was gonna get like majority of the cut off of, you know, what people were paying at the door. And Keyshawn, because they were all arguing, she says, you know what, we could just split it. It's cool. I ain't worried about it. But Mercedes, she was so pissed off. She storms out. She actually rips up the poster that had her and Keyshawn on it. And she storms out the door. And Uncle Clifford runs after her. And he says, like, yo, like, you got to calm down. And she was like, yo, I should have been out of this raggedy joint 5 years ago. Now, mind you, Mercedes had been saving, doing her thing. And then she ended up getting screwed over by her mama trying to get a building, you know, to be a dance instructor for the girls in the city. So Mercedes says, I should have been out of this joint 5 years ago, but because of my financial situation, I had to stay here and strip way past the time that I should be stripping. And Uncle Clifford says, you know, girl, it is what it is. I know the pink ain't the best thing, but this has ended up being my castle, meaning this has ended up being, you know, a place that, you know, can keep me afloat, keep my head above water, you know, even though this isn't what I plan my life to be. Okay, so the next thing we have, Keyshawn bumps into Big Bone. They're just walking down the hallway, and Big Bone says, you need to watch out. And Keyshawn was like, hey, we haven't even officially met, girl. Like, what's your problem? And she was like, I'm glad you're leaving tomorrow. And Keyshawn was like, what you talking about? What gives you the idea? What makes you think that I'm leaving? And Big Bone pretty much says, you know, these walls talk. And yeah, yada, yada, yada. So I have been reading comments about Big Bone. And people kind of have some theories about Big Bone. So people think either Big Bone is connected to Montavious, either Big Bone, she has spiritual gifts, or they think that Whisper is the one that is telling everybody that Keyshawn is leaving. Because we know Whisper and Diamond, they have like a spiritual gift. But yeah, so people think that Big Bone has some kind of connection to Montavious. Now remember the episode when Big Bone and Diamond officially hooked up, she saw Montavious' ring on Diamond's dresser, and she was kind of looking at it, and she asked what that was. He said, this is for my protection, but he didn't go into detail. But we know as the audience what happened, and he's keeping this ring around for like some kind of spiritual protection. So people think that Big Bone has some kind of connection, or she's come around, she has something to do with Montavious. But based on that scene, that's the only kind of indication of anything that we've had with anything of Big Bone and Montavious. And she was just looking at the ring sitting on the counter, because Diamond, he has the ring out on display. It's not like he has the ring in like a jewelry box or something. He just has the ring sitting out. So, you know, when he was in the bathroom or in the kitchen or whatever, she was just kind of staring, looking at the ring with curiosity. But people in the comments have been saying that they think that Big Bone has some kind of connection with Montavious, but based on what we've seen, I don't get where that's kind of coming from. We really haven't got any kind of foreshadowing of that. But yeah, so Big Bone tells Keyshawn, like, I'm glad you're leaving tomorrow. So we don't know how or where Big Bone is getting this information from. If she has a spiritual gift, or if it's just Whisper has kind of told everybody, like, hey, Keyshawn's here, but she's not going to be here for long. Okay, so next thing, Mercedes gets a text from Farrah. So if you guys know, Farrah is the coach's wife. So she gets a text and she drives up to Memphis, which is about an hour away. And she walks into this exhibit, and it's an art exhibit from Farrah, and it's all the pictures that Farrah has taken of Mercedes, the time they spent together, when Mercedes was like showing her skills off on the pole. So we found out that Farrah, she's a photographer. So yeah, so she put on this whole exhibit in celebration of Mercedes. So they end up having a conversation, and she tells Mercedes that she's divorcing the coach. She's over it. She's done. She's gonna go out here and be her own woman, and she's over it. So she asked Mercedes. She asked Mercedes, "Can we hook up again?" And she was like, "Sorry, that was really business. Maybe a little bit of pleasure, but it was more business." And guys, was it just me, or this scene right here kind of gave a foreshadow of Mercedes' opportunity? So Mercedes is a dancer, so she was going to open up her own dance studio. Farrah is a photographer. She's a smart, talented, beautiful black woman. And now that she's officially divorcing the coach, she could really go out here and be the true businesswoman and really get on her grind. So this whole scene was giving me very much foreshadow energy of what the influence that Farrah could be on Mercedes' life. Now, obviously, Farrah, she's not a dancer, she's not in that business, but as far as the business mind, I'm seeing this connection to where Mercedes can really build a new life and get out of the pink with Farrah's help. And the way the scene was going, it seems like she wasn't really picking up on that. She was just kind of looking at Farrah like, okay, this is a woman. I was hooking up with him. I was hooking up with her and her husband, and they were paying me. It seems like she's not really putting two together, that Farrah could be a leg up on her getting out of the pink and being a successful businesswoman. So yeah, so that's the energy that I was getting from that scene. That Farrah could be, a blessing in Mercedes' life based on her being a black businesswoman that's gonna really be out here doing her thing once she leaves this man. So the next thing we have, Autumn, she's in the club or whatever. She ends up running to the bathroom. So guys, whenever you see a scene in a TV or movie where a woman runs to the bathroom, that's always an indication that she is more than likely pregnant. So yeah, so during pregnancy, early stages of pregnancy, women, they get morning sickness where they feel nauseous and they feel sick. So Autumn, she's just backstage, just looking, ready for the club to open up, and she runs to the bathroom and she throws up. So next thing we have Whisper. Whisper comes into the bathroom. She says, "Are you ready for twins?" So guys, we know Whisper has a spiritual gift where she can feel and see and sense stuff. So she asks Autumn, "Are you ready for twins?" So it seems like that's a foreshadow that Autumn is actually pregnant and she's going to be expecting 2 kids. So that scene was kind of crazy, the fact that Whisper said, "Are you ready for twins?" So guys, we are officially reopening the pink. Remember, they went through that whole situation where they had to shut it down because the lady from the health department came. So now we are officially at opening night of the reopening, and the lady is there. Lauren, that's her name, the light-skinned lady. She's there at the door to make sure they are at capacity. She's not playing with them. She's like, listen, y'all gotta do what y'all gotta do. I'm gonna shut y'all down. So she is officially there at the reopening night or whatever. So she's out there. She got on her mask. She got on her plastic, a freaking hazmat suit, and yeah, she's yelling and screaming at the customers like, "Y'all better have your mask on when y'all come up in here. I'm not playing with y'all." So Big L and Uncle Clifford go outside, you know, to just check the scene, check everybody out. And he's telling Lauren, like girl, can you calm down? Like you throwing salt in the game. Like, we trying to reopen, we trying to do our thing. You know, we trying to do our thing. So she's out there yelling, screaming, she's not playing. And she says, hey, I know you want to spend that stimulus money that you got back. Stop tripping. So we know that Lauren loves the ladies. She loves the strip club culture. So Uncle Clifford's telling her, stop tripping. Like, listen, I know you got to do what you got to do. I know you got to do your job. But stop tripping. You know you love the pink too. And she says, you need to come on up here and spend this money. And I'm going to throw Big L up in there. So she then threw Big L up in the midst. And pretty much she trying to pimp out Big L. And Big L turned to her and says, do I look like a hoe to you? Y'all, that was so funny because that was just so left field from Big L's character. We know Big L is an OG. You know, he on his cool cat stuff. He's a cool OG. So he was like, do I look like a hoe to you? And Lauren was like, ooh, yes, I love you some light-skinned, thick man. So yeah, so Lauren, actually, she changes the capacity from 50% to 75%. So still not at 100. But 75, you know, that's better than 50. So yeah, so while they were backstage getting ready, Toy, she ends up coughing. She ends up coughing and sneezing. So guys, Uncle Clifford kicks Toy out of the bank. Now, you know, the last couple episodes, the reason why the pink got shut down in the first place is because Toy sneezed on the Lauren chick. So this whole situation kind of got caused because of Toy, unfortunately. So Toy ends up like coughing or sneezing while they're backstage getting ready for this opening. And Uncle Clifford throws her out, guys, like snatches her by the arm, takes her little bag that she comes to get ready to the club with, throws her bag and throws her out, guys. Now, this scene seemed so harsh, but you guys have to understand, Uncle Clifford is on edge. Miss Ernestine is officially in the hospital. So this whole episode with Clifford, it seems like he's tripping and he's on edge. It's because he is. The episodes leading up into this point, Miss Ernestine has been sick, but now she's officially in the hospital. So Uncle Clifford, he's just going through the motions, rightfully so. So he is on edge. So this scene right here, guys, it just seems so harsh because he kicked her out. Like, you're not dancing tonight. You're not making no money. I don't care. You up in here coughing and sneezing. My grandmother's in the hospital. It's because of you. Because this whole season with the whole corona thing, we haven't had anybody sick or coughing besides Toy. Like, the way they've done this season, she's been the only one that's been openly sick. So Uncle Clifford calls her out and said, you gotta go. You got my grandmother in the hospital, half dead. You gotta get the heck up out of here. And it was just so harsh. Like I said, Uncle Clifford, he's on edge based on Miss Ernestine being in the hospital. Okay, so the next thing we have is we have one of the I don't know who she is. She's like the house mom. Like, she gets the girls their outfits and, you know, so perfume, anything that they need. I forgot what that person is called, but it's like the person in the strip club that's in the back and they help all the dancers. So this girl comes up to Uncle Clifford and shows her a live, or like an Instagram post. And Little Murder was like, yo, we ready to come through. We gonna turn it up. And he comes through with Tina Snow. So as you guys found out a couple weeks ago, Meg Thee Stallion was going to be featured on this season. So she plays Tina Snow, a rapper out of Houston. Tina Snow, a rapper out of Houston. So they pull up to the paint. They pull up in a big tour bus. They got on the fur meat coats. And this all kind of just happened. Like, this wasn't planned for him and Tina Snow to pull up at the club. He just pulled up like, yo, y'all come through. It's going to be lit tonight. So yeah. So they pull up and they go backstage and get ready to perform. And like I said, Uncle Clifford didn't know anything about this. So Tina Snow, she's in the back. She's kind of looking around, going throughout the club. She's excited. And Uncle Clifford and Murder, they're in the back talking and they're being extra flirty. And Little Murder gets close to Uncle Clifford. He whispers in his ear, and Uncle Clifford tells Little Murder, "You better stop playing with me before I pull that thing out and slop it down right now." Y'all, they was on 10 when it came to the sexual tension and the sexual energy this episode. They was not playing, and I loved every second of it. Uncle Clifford said, "You better back up off me before I pull it out right now." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, I will." So yeah, so they're backstage talking or whatever, and he pretty much says, let me see. He pretty much says, "You didn't even tell me nothing about this, Negro. You just pulled up with Tina Snow and whatever." So yeah, so Tina Snow, after she's going around the club, kind of looking around, she comes back with a bottle and she pours a shot into Little Murder's mouth. And she's like, "Yeah, Little Murder, you been doing your thing, yada yada yada." And she's being real flirty with him, and you can see on Uncle Clifford's face that he's jealous. But you have to understand, so on the whole entire tour when he was with Keyshawn, he had all these groupies. He was not hooking up with any women, and we as the audience know that, you know, he's on the DL. But during that whole tour, he had women throwing themselves at him, and he was not hooking up with any girls at all. So now that he has the situation where this song is popping off, and Tina Snow, she's already established, the flirty energy is kind of like, I guess it's taking us aback, because it's like, you know, we don't really see him interact with a female that way. Now, you know, Tina Snow, you know, Meg Thee Stallion, she's super fun. She has great energy. So it could just be that, or it could just be Little Murder just trying to play into the role, or it could be him just trying to like kiss butt, because it's like, hey, this is a major artist and this is an opportunity. So it's like, it could be genuine because Tina Snow, she does have a fun personality, or it could just be him trying to feed in and play the role of trying to really get put on, you know, to be, you know, this rap superstar. But yeah, you can see the jealousy on Uncle Clifford's face. So yeah, so the next thing, let me see. So the next thing, the lady that works at the club, she tells Uncle Clifford he has a visitor in the Paradise Room. So Uncle Clifford goes up there, and it's like, okay, well, okay, cool, somebody's here to see me. I'm ready to get some extra money. So we go upstairs, and it's Corbin. So Corbin's up there. Uncle Clifford's like, okay, whatever, what do you want? And he was like, I have something to show you. So Corbin opens up a box, and it's a box with a whip in it. So Corbin reveals that he hasn't, you know, got his kink on, you know, since the last time he was at the club. And he was like, yo, I need this. So Uncle Clifford's like, boy, it's too much stuff going on. I ain't trying to beat your tail. I ain't worried about that. So as you guys recall, in season 1, we find out that Corbin, he's into like, I guess like dominatrix play. Like he likes to get his behind beat, like with whips and chains and everything. So he tells Uncle Clifford, oh, what did Autumn pay for you to save the club? And he says $250,000. And Corbin says, I'm willing to pay that to get my rocks off. Now I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know if he was being literal or he was just, you know, over exaggerating. But he pretty much said, I'm willing to pay whatever, because I've been fiending. I haven't got this kink off, you know, since, you know, in months or whatever. So yeah, so Uncle Clifford agrees, and he goes to, so Corbin strips down naked, and he goes to beating Corbin's behind. So Corbin turns around, guys, and he literally has lashes on his skin from where he's got his tail beat. So he's like really into this like dominatrix stuff. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing we see Toy crying. So remember I just told you, Uncle Clifford kicked Toy out the club. It says, you up in here coughing and sneezing. You already got my grandmother sick. We just reopened. We got the club shut down because of you. Like, this stuff is serious. People are dying. You got to get up out of here. So Toy is outside crying, and she's talking to Whisper. She's telling Whisper, like, I'm ready to get evicted. My car, my light bill. So Toy's going through it financially. So the next thing we know, we see Roulette walk in. Roulette got on the Versace and all this designer stuff. and she sees Toy crying and Whisper beside her. So Whisper says, "Oh, it's okay, it's gonna be okay." And she looks up at Roulette, and Roulette pulls out a stack of money and hands it to Toy. And Toy's looking like yo, like thank you, like I'll pay you back, I promise. So Roulette tells Toy, "This is not a loan." She said, "This is not a loan. This is your pay." So Toy goes, "Is this what I think it is?" So guys, I'm gonna keep it real. This scene right here had me a little confused as to what was going on. I'm gonna go watch some other reviews and see what they say. But Roulette hands over the stash of money to Toy and says, "This is not a loan." So I'm thinking Roulette is on some pimp stuff. Now remember, Roulette already got called out by the other girl about doing stuff in the club. But we already know Roulette is out here doing stuff strange for a little piece of change. Remember, in one of the episodes at the end, we saw her getting out of a car with the man, and she told the guy, "If you want to take another ride of Roulette, you can hit me up again." So we already, and that episode happened before the DSL episode. So that episode, she was getting out the car with the man. Then we got the DSL episode when she officially did what she did with the guy in the club. So we already know that Roulette is out here doing stuff on the side for extra money. And then we had the last episode where she set up Whisper to meet up with the guy. So she hands over Toy this cash, and it seems like she's on some pimp stuff, meaning now she's gonna get Toy to do something strange, and she's gonna get her cut off of Toy hooking up with the guy. So you guys let me know down below what that was, but that's what I'm putting together, that she's on some pimp stuff and she's trying to get these girls to hook up with guys outside of the club, and then she gets a cut out of that. That's the only thing I can think of. And Toy, remember in that scene, Toy says, "Is this what I think it is?" Meaning you're giving me money because you want me to do a favor for a man. So yeah. Okay, so the next thing we have, Andre is at the club. He's celebrating. Mind you, like I said, we opened up this episode with Andre doing an ad at the strip club. So now he's at the strip club. All of him and his campaign people, they're in there taking shots, and they're thinking that they're going to win this thing. Now, we don't know who's won the race, but they're in there celebrating. They're in there happy. And then he gets on stage. He does a speech. He thanks the people, yada, yada, yada. I don't know about y'all, but this scene is kind of foreshadowing me to think that Andre is not going to win this. It's just one of those things like in the movies where it's just like you're too excited to where it's like it's too good to be true. So guys, I don't know. I don't know if Andre's going to win this. The way that scene made me feel, it's just like y'all in here too happy and too excited, and y'all doing too much celebrating before the results have got in. So that's what I'm thinking, guys. I'm thinking Andre might not win this thing. Like y'all too anxious. Y'all too anxious. Let me see. Yeah, so then Andre gets off stage and he goes backstage. He goes backstage with Autumn, and they're talking and they're having a conversation. And Andre says, "You know, I don't really feel like a king." And Autumn says, "Well, you have to be a king if you want to wear this crown." And Andre asks her, "You know, well, are you going to stay in the city? You know, what are you going to do?" Because we already know that, you know, Autumn, she's always on the run from whatever her past is. She's on the run. So Andre asks her, "Would you be willing to stay in Chucalissa? Like, what are you going to do?" So it seems like Andre is really getting in his feelings with Autumn, you know, all the way up until this point. You know, we find out that he's married, and, you know, we find out that the wife cheated. And then, you know, even after that, we see Andre really kind of hold back his feelings, and I feel like he's just scared to get hurt by Autumn. But right then and there, he asks her, like, "Are you going to stay in the city? What are you going to do?" Making it seem like he wants, like, a future with Autumn. So Autumn says, "Come on, let's get out of here. I got something to tell you." And remember, she went to the bathroom and she threw up. Okay, so next thing we have Duffy. He's backstage or whatever, behind the scenes, and he pulls up on Roulette. He says, "Okay, I see you got you a new chain from the bus down." So remember last episode, they stole the car from the guy that was in a hotel, and then they took it to Duffy to bust it down. Bust down pretty much means you strip the car and you make the car look completely brand new so that, you know, the person doesn't know that you stole this car off the street. So it seems like Roulette took the bust down and she sold it. So I guess when you take it to the auto body shop, they just change the appearance and then they give it back to you. So it seems like she sold the car because Duffy says, "Oh, I see you got you a new chain from the bust down and you haven't even texted me back." So so Duffy ends up asking Roulette, like, you know, who gets you off? Pretty much asking her, like, you're so tough, you know, you have this super like tough masculine energy, but like, you know, who gives you pleasure? So Duffy ends up pushing Roulette up against the wall, y'all, and he takes his fingers and he starts jangling. He takes his finger, goes up into her panties, y'all, and he is doing the thing up against the wall, and I'm just like, okay. Now, guys, with Duffy and Roulette's relationship, when we first saw Roulette eyeing Duffy, I kind of felt like Roulette, you know, that she might have just been using Duffy. Like, remember at the end of the episode when she got out of the car, she saw Duffy and Big L drop the box of like Oxycontins. So she knew that Duffy was on some, you know, he's out here pushing pills. He's on some street stuff, getting money. So the indication that I always got from Roulette from that first scene was that, okay, she's gonna flirt with this boy to try to, you know, get something out of him. She really doesn't have good intentions with Duffy. She's just gonna try to use him. But since the first episode where they got introduced, it seems like they've been very flirty and going back and forth. And now with this episode, he has her up against the wall, you know, jangling. So I'm interested to see, you know, what this relationship is going to be. Does she really have true feelings for Duffy, or if it's on some, she's just trying to use him, you know, for what he has access to. So yeah, let me see. Okay, so next thing we have Little Murder and Tina Snow come out on the stage and they perform. They're doing their thing. Let's see. Okay, they're doing their thing, and next thing you know, somebody in the crowd from Little Murder's crew gets into it with Maine and his crew. So as you guys know, Pico was a part of Maine's crew. Now remember, Pico and Little Murder was cool until they got into the fight that night, where Pico called him out for being, you know, like sassy. So it seems, so that whole dynamic is interesting to me. It seems like maybe Pico and Little Murder, they probably like went to school together and they became cool. But it seems like Pico, he grew up on the other side of the tracks. He just ended up becoming cool with Little Murder. But their situations, they don't like each other, meaning Little Murder's crew and Pico's crew don't like each other. But Pico and Little Murder were cool. But I'm guessing they were cool just from like being maybe like best friends in like school or something. Because it seems like they come from two different crews and those crews don't like each other. So when him and Little Murder got to fighting, I guess he officially went back to that crew. So that same crew is Maine's crew. So you got Maine's crew, then Little Murder's, his people, they don't like each other. So they're in the crowd while Tina Snow and Little Murder are performing, and they get to fighting again. So just before that, when they were backstage, Uncle Clifford told him, I don't want to happen what happened on murder night, meaning folks getting fighting and shooting. So lo and behold, the same thing happens again. They get to fighting again, and it's every time Little Murder performs that a fight breaks out. So they get the fighting. Tina Snow's on stage, Little Murder's on stage, he's throwing bows, and Keyshawn, they're up on the pole performing. So when, you know, the rappers perform on stage, you have the strippers, they're in the back performing. So Keyshawn tries to get down, get out of the way. She gets knocked down to the ground. Next thing you know, we got Diamond running up on the stage. Diamond is knocking Negroes out from left to right. Like, Diamond is not playing. So Diamond, he got the gun in his hand, he got the bulletproof vest. Diamond comes throwing bows left and right because he see Keyshawn's falling to the ground. So he snatches Keyshawn up, takes her to the back. He says, "Hey, are you good? Are you okay?" Next thing you know, guys, the moment we've all been waiting for, the moment we didn't know when this was gonna come, from season 1 to season 2, Keyshawn, she goes in and she kisses Diamond. And like I said, guys, remember I told you about when Little Murder kissed Clifford on the cheek? This was a good kissing episode. Diamond and Keyshawn's, that kissing looked nice and juicy too. So they're kissing for like a couple minutes, and Diamond pushes Keyshawn away, and he walks away and says, "I can't do this." So this was a bittersweet moment because we've been wanting Diamond and Keyshawn to get together from season 1. Once we got the flirty energy, but once we found out that Keyshawn was in an abusive situation with a white man, it was just like, okay, when is this going to happen? And then once we officially got to season 2 and we saw the actual backstory of how crazy Derek is, and you know, like I said, she pulled out the gun on Diamond, so the whole relationship with Keyshawn and everybody at the club was in shambles because of what she did. So we come into season 2 with nobody liking Keyshawn, and she's officially not dancing at the club. So our hopes and dreams of her and Diamond, it just got pushed to the wayside once we got to season 2. So for this to come, for this episode, she finally kisses Diamond after he comes and swoops her up and saves her. It's just bittersweet because it's just like, it's awkward. We didn't know when this was going to come. We didn't expect this to come like this. Literally, they're outside fighting, tearing the club down, and then all of a sudden you try to kiss Diamond. It's just a bittersweet moment. It's just like, we wanted this from season 1, but from season 1 to season 2, all the details that we got about Keyshawn, it's just messed up. So it's just bittersweet. We can't even enjoy the fact that she's finally reached out and it's like giving affection to Diamond, because it's just, yeah. Okay, so they get everybody separated. Diamond gets everybody separated, and Little Murder is in the back going off. So Little Murder is like, yo, like, I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of, you know, this rival gang keep trying to punk me and my crew. Like, I'm tired of it. And mind you, Little Murder is blowing up. He has a song with Tina Snow. Tina Snow, she's an established rapper out of Houston. So he's on the radio. People in the state of Mississippi, people in the South, you know, his name is starting to pick up traction, not just in his city, but as far as going throughout the South. So when this fight breaks out between the two crews, Little Murder is over it. Like, he's heated, he's pissed off, and they're in the back. Uncle Clifford's trying to calm him down. Uncle Clifford asks, "Hey, the night you came to me, was that the night you killed Pico?" And Little Murder says, "Nah, that's not what that was about. That was something else," which we as the audience know is the truth. So Uncle Clifford, he kind of lets it go. He's like, okay, if that's what you're telling me, then that's what you're telling me. And yeah. Okay. So let me see. So Andre and Autumn, they leave the club and go to Andre's house. And they get a surprise. Andre's wife is sitting there waiting in the dark, and then she flicks on the lights. You know, in like every movie and TV show, where somebody's waiting for somebody to come home, and then they flick on the lights, and it's like, oh snap! So that's what she was doing, and Autumn and Andre, they are all over each other, like they're ready to get busy, and the wife asks Andre, "Oh, is this your campaign manager?" Like, trying to be funny. But it's like, girl, like, and it seems like you could see on her face, like, she was pissed off, but it's like, girl, like, you were either a doctor or a nurse working in the hospital, and you were smashing another doctor or another nurse in this man's home. So you being as pissed off as you is, I don't really understand where that energy is coming from. Even though in season 1, Andre, he did mess around with Autumn in season 1. But it's kind of like, okay, whatever. What she did was smashing the dude in the house. It seems like, for me, that seemed way worse. So her energy of being as pissed off as she is, I don't understand where that's coming from. Because up until that point, I don't think she knew that he was messing around on her, you know? Okay, so Little Murder storms out the back or whatever. And then Uncle Clifford ends up kicking over a box and he finds the pills. So he storms into the office and him and Big L get into an argument. He tells Big L that, yo, like, I don't want you keeping work in my club. Because if anything goes down, they bust into the club, they do a search, and they find pills, they find drugs in the club. Like, that's not a good look. Like, y'all could be shut down forever. And y'all gonna get criminal charges. So remember in season 1, we find out that Big L is doing this. We get introduced to Duffy in season 1. So from season 1 to the beginning of season 2, I said that I wasn't sure that if Uncle Clifford knew. But on the episode where we found out that Autumn, she's sleeping in the club and she was taking a shower, remember Uncle Clifford and Big L went into the office and they had a conversation. And that's when we officially find out that Uncle Clifford does know that Big L's doing stuff on the side. Because from season 1 coming to season 2, it wasn't any indication that Uncle Clifford was aware. But we do find out a couple episodes that he does know that he is doing stuff on the side. So they get into an argument and he's like, bro, like, I told you I'm not about that. I'm not about that extra stuff as far as you pushing weight in my club. And he was like, yo, like, I think Big L tries to say that it's temporary, and Uncle Clifford's like, yeah, it is temporary until, you know, you fall behind and you owe this person some money, and now your daughter or your niece ends up dead because you owe money. So they're going back and forth, and Uncle Clifford's like, I'm not about this life. And Big L's telling him, well, this has helped keep me and you afloat, because the extra money that I'm out here working, this, you know, this all helps you out too. So Big L pretty much calls out Uncle Clifford and says, you know, you've been off your A game. You ready to lose your club that's been a part of your family for decades because you let Autumn come in here on some BS. And Uncle Clifford was looking at Big L like, who you talking to? Well, Big L was pretty much telling him, like, you out here being scared, you know, you out here being scared, and now you're ready to lose the pink. You're ready to lose the only thing that, you know, you even have something worth to you. So yeah, they going back and forth, and then Big L was like, oh, you know, this problem would be solved if you just get rid of Autumn. So remember, during the season, they have both been indications of, yo, we should take Autumn out, meaning we should kill her. But the way Clifford always said it, he always said it in a joking way, that he was just pissed off at her. So in this moment, Big L is saying, yo, if we really take her out, this will solve a lot of her problems, and she just disappears. So guys, in that moment, Uncle Clifford fires Big L. He says, you're fired. And like I said, Uncle Clifford has been on edge this whole episode because Ernestine is officially in the hospital. So he kicked Toy out of the club, and then he fires Big L, even though he said this during the season, like, yo, I ought to kill this hoe. But it seems like he was, you know, just saying that out of frustration. So now Big L is suggesting killing Autumn, and he's being for real. And I guess that was just the pushing point for Uncle Clifford. He fires Big L on the spot, and Big L leaves. Okay, so Big L leaves, and then Uncle Clifford gets a phone call. So we're thinking that this phone call is from the hospital, but we don't know. Okay, so the next thing we have Little Murder. He's sitting in the Paradise room because, like I said, they just got the fighting, the gangs, everybody's still outside in the parking lot, so they're trying to keep Little Murder safe. So he goes into the Paradise room, and Mercedes comes. And remind you, Mercedes, she didn't dance that night. So Mercedes ends up coming, And in this moment, um, Uncle Clifford gives Mercedes her props. If you remember from season 1, Mercedes and Uncle Clifford were like never cool. I guess she just looked at him as like this corny up and coming rapper, like, boy, get up out my face, I'm not tripping off you. So Mercedes and Murder have never like been close or cool, because, you know, Mercedes, she has a very strong personality. If she doesn't like really like you or cling to you, like, she ain't effort with it. So in this moment while they're sitting in the room, Little Murder gives Mercedes her props. He pretty much tells her, yeah, Keyshawn, she's younger and whatever, but you're the OG. Like, you're the one, you're the reason why the pink is what it is. You know, when it comes to you up there dancing and doing those moves to, you know, my songs, nobody does it like you. So this was a real dope moment, because we never seen like Little Murder and Mercedes be close, because Mercedes was never tripping off Little Murder. But in this moment, he gives her her flower, gives her her props. Says, like, you are the one, like, you are the queen of this, and don't ever let, you know, Keyshawn or anybody think that you aren't. Yeah, so they're still outside. So next we go outside, we have Diamond. They're still trying to clear everybody out the parking lot. So we see this woman, and we see her earlier in the episode, this pregnant woman, and we find out that this pregnant woman is Pico's girlfriend. So this is Pico's baby mama, and he's gotten killed, and she has a baby on the way. So she's talking to Maine, telling him that, oh, Little Murder is the one that killed Pico. It has to be. No, nobody knows officially that it was Little Murder. Like I said, this is just this side of town versus this side of town. This crew versus this crew. Nobody officially knows that Little Murder did it. They're just putting it on Little Murder because of the beef. Now, we as the audience know, but they don't officially know. They're just calling out Little Murder, saying, oh yeah, he killed Pico because of the whole beef situation. So we see this woman, she's pregnant. We find out that's Pico's baby mama, and she wants revenge. Like, yo, like, he killed my baby father. He did this. He's the one that did this. So next to them, we have Big Bone. She's, next to them, we have Big Bone. She's sitting on her bike, and she's going through pictures of her phone of her and Diamond. So she sees Diamond kissing Keyshawn. I forgot to say that. So when Keyshawn kisses Diamond, she's in the DJ booth. She sees them kissing. So now she's outside in the parking lot, and she's going through her phone. She's looking all sad. And then she gets to a picture of her phone where she's holding up Montavia's ring up to Diamond's face. So it seems like Diamond has fallen asleep. She put the ring up to his face, and she took a picture. So remember, I told you guys in the comment section, people were saying that they thought that Big Bone was connected to Montavious. Up until this point, I had no rhyme or reason to believe that. But now we have Diamond going through pictures in her phone, and she's holding up Montavious' ring next to Diamond's face, and she took a picture of it. Why did you take Montavious' ring off of the display and put it up to Diamond's face and take a picture? So now it seems like the people in the comment section, it's like some stuff is starting to come together. Because up until that point, like I said, the only thing we had was just, she was just staring at the ring. But that's just out of curiosity. There's no rhyme or reason. I had to think that she was connected to Montavious. Okay, so next thing we have is the last part of the episode. And we see Keyshawn writing a note on Mercedes' mirror. And she says, I'm going to miss you, big sis, or something like that. So Clifford comes in and catches her writing the note. He's like, dang, you writing the note. You ready, you ready to leave us. He said, how you going to leave like that without telling me goodbye? And Mississippi, she's just kind of standing there. She's kind of in shock because, this is awkward. She didn't want anybody to catch her leaving. She was just trying to, leave on a dolo. And Uncle Clifford pretty much says, life is short. People come and people go. And like I said, remember, he got the phone call from the hospital. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if Miss Ernestine is still here or not. So he tells Keyshawn, people come and go. I don't want to see your pretty face here ever again. I want you to fly and be a free bird and get up out of here. and he says, "Go ahead, child." He turns his head and tells her to go. And then Keyshawn grabs him, gives him a hug, and they hug and they kiss. And that was a real sweet moment. Because we know that Uncle Clifford has been there for her and all of these girls by giving them this opportunity, even though it's not the prettiest or the glamorous, it is an opportunity, and Uncle Clifford has been there for them. So to see Keyshawn hug Uncle Clifford, they hug and they kiss like the last time we're gonna see them together, that was a real sweet moment. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. I saw the preview for the next episode, and we do see Keyshawn getting on a bus. So it seems like Keyshawn is really leaving. Now, the way Keyshawn is the main character, so I feel like if she does leave, something's going to happen. It's going to trigger her to come back. I don't think Keyshawn's just going to leave and she's going to be living somewhere else, and that's how we're going to see Keyshawn. Something's going to happen. It's going to trigger Keyshawn. Maybe not with Derek. I don't think it's something with Derek. I think it's something with either Uncle Clifford or somebody at the club. It's going to trigger Keyshawn to come back and to help him. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, but that's the preview that I saw for the next episode. But yeah, guys, that is it. Like I said, this is episode 9. We have one episode left, guys. We have the finale, and that is it. Guys, this episode was good to me. This episode was good. A lot happened to where I'm really curious to know what's going to happen the next episode. We only have one episode left, so it's like, what are they going to do? Are they going to give us all the answers from this episode? Are they going to leave us on a cliffhanger? You know, what are they going to do? But yeah, guys, that is it. I appreciate you if you made it to the end of this video. It seems like my reviews have got longer and longer, but I'm just trying to give y'all the breakdown, you know. But yeah, like this video, subscribe. That really helps out my channel. Leave a comment what you think, what I may have got wrong, what you disagree, agree with, any explanations, and